today, but we don't want to hold you up too long because we realize that all of you are here early, and we don't want to penalize you by delaying any longer. But we're very happy that you're here today, and we're very glad that you made the decision to be here for our Let's Get Healthy workshop. Our Let's Get Healthy workshop, we do 2 workshops. Today we're doing the introductory workshop, and this is a 2-hour workshop, and we will give you information today, and we will show you a video presentation that I think you will find memorable, and we will let you sample all the food, some of the foods that we prepare. So we want to get started right away. The video presentation, I'm going to turn it over to my partner, Shahida Al-Amin, to do that. But I would like to start out by saying we are so thankful to Reverend Jones and Macedonia Baptist Church. He is just such a phenomenal person, and we appreciate him so much. He is concerned about everybody's health and well-being, and he thought this would be a great thing to add to the health ministry, and we thank him for that. And Sharon has been just so super back there. She is just, you can't replace her. She's just been great. So I'm going to turn this over now to Shahida, and we will get started.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Very happy to see all of you here, and I'm very happy to see you here because everybody's evidently concerned about their health. African Americans are having more problems than anybody, and it's a lot of it to do to our diet. And the diet that we have is not our fault. The diet we have was a diet that was given to our ancestors when they were enslaved over here. It was a diet for survival. Today, we want to help our people get to a diet for living a full life. And I'm not saying this diet would make your life longer. Your life expectancy is between you and the Creator. But it can make your life better. And I know that for a fact. And I'm hoping that when you all finish, you come up and get each one of those handouts. The woman that helped me, because I'm not even supposed to be here, was Alvinia Fulton, and was in Chicago. She has passed over. She was 103 when she made the transition. And because of her, I'm still here. And her ministry was help. My ministry is help in getting it out to my people about what we need to do. The film that you're getting ready to see is an absolutely wonderful film, and it's by John Robbins. He was the son of one of the owners of Baskin Robbins, the Robbins portion, and that man just passed away about a month ago. And I want you to really listen to it and think about these things. It's important for us to get back involved. So we're going to start the video first, and then we'll talk with you about some other things afterwards. Okay, can you start our video first? Okay.
Just lay it over there.
All right, shall we pray? Our Father and our God, we are grateful for this day. Thank you for your many blessings. And now, Lord, we pray that as we go further into the program part, that all things will work together for the good that you have placed us here for, and that we be able to return and glorify you. We thank you now for the food that has been prepared. We ask you, Lord, that thou would bless it, and that we be partakers of it, that thou would bless our bodies to keep us strong to do thy will, O God. It is in Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, the ladies are in the back of the room there, and they want you to just come up, and they're going to serve you. So if you will just form a line and go right up and got everything right for the back there. Okay.
You need to see up front and register.
See what's in there, right? And I think everybody can see this.
Takes what it sees. Rhinoceros.
Go back and get seconds. Okay, now, it is my pleasure to introduce to you my partner and associate and friend, Mrs. Shahida Alameen. And she is a registered nurse. She's also she has her BS, and she is a holistic health practitioner. And she's been in the health business for a number of years. And she also sees patients on a private basis as well. So without further ado, I want to bring to you Ms. Shahida Alameen.
Thank you. I hope you all really enjoyed the food, and I hope you enjoyed that film. That film was very important. I got that from Blue Heron Academy, which is a massage school as well as a naturopathic school, and I think it's important for us to take a look at what we're eating and how we're eating. I'm sorry you didn't get to see the whole film. We were running short on time, and we don't want to hold you up because Saturday's important to everybody. The one thing that we learned about food at Blue Heron is exactly what they showed you up here. We're eating entirely too much saturated fat, and that comes in the form of meat. It would really be good if some of us could cut back on the beef and the pork and go to some fish and turkey. I'd like to tell people to be very careful about your chickens and where you get them from, and the turkeys as well, because what they do is, if you just buy regular chickens, the estrogen that they put into them to make them grow faster, they shoot them into something that all of us really loved, and that's wings. They shoot it directly into the wings, and so it's the biggest concentration of estrogen in there. And that estrogen causes cancer, having all that in there, as well as the different kinds of things that they feed them, the antibiotics, all those kinds of things. We have got to begin to be careful. Get organic chickens. Get organic turkey. Make sure your fish come from a distance, not the ones close up. They have too much waste products in it. The deep ocean fish, the far out like mahi-mahi, red snapper, those are better types of fish for you to get for yourself because they have polluted these waters so horribly. Another thing that I wanted to tell you is that we've got to remember one thing when we're eating all of this red meat. We have very long digestive systems. Our systems are not short like those of lions and tigers who have those long canine teeth for tearing meat. We don't have those kind of teeth. And they have very short digestive systems, so when the food goes in, it comes right out. We're more like animals like elephants and giraffes. Those are vegetarian animals, and they have long digestive systems just like us. And we need to eat more vegetarian. We need to fill our life with grains, fruits, and vegetables, and eat meat on the side. When I was in Africa, I was noticing how they eat, and a friend of mine, Anita Christopher's son-in-law, is from Ghana, and she said, I did a presentation at Methodist Community House, and she said, you know, Shahida, you really are right. Those Africans do not eat all that meat. She said his meat portion might be about this size, whereas our meat size, we want a great big porterhouse steak, and it should be about 5 of us eating it. You know, when we're eating it, because it's probably 5 of them eating it. I want to tell you another thing about meat. My nursing career, when I started in nursing, there was Ferguson Hospital. I did my first med-surg rotation there. The doctors there had a presentation that we were required to go and hear. The doctor said something that has stuck with me for a long time, and that's that Japanese people did not have colon cancer until they introduced beef into their society. Chinese people do not have all these problems that we have over here, except the wealthy who have selected not to eat like the so-called peasant people and chose to go with the American diet, making very rich foods. And I have one more thing to tell you about that. I was so surprised. Our nursing organization, I'm vegan, and I'm not expecting anybody else to be that. I eat no meat products. And I asked them, could they prepare a vegan meal? They told me Rich DeVos, when he comes down there, he eats no meat. They have to prepare a vegan meal for him because he eats rich everywhere else. And it's time to let some of that stuff go out of our system. We have entirely too many heart attacks, too much cancer, too much of everything that doesn't make sense. Our rates continue to go up. The morbidity and mortality in our babies because of our diet is higher than anybody else's. We have got to make a decision to change. And I'm not telling you, hey, don't eat any meat. I'm saying lower your meat consumption. Cut it down to 2 or 3 days a week. You don't have to have that every day. There are wonderful salads and other things that you can have. I'm also going to give you a list of 5 whites you should not be eating. You should not be, and I'll tell you why afterwards. The 5 are sugar, white flour, white rice, a lot of salt, and white potatoes. You should limit your consumption of those things. And in our second seminar, I give you all the information written on what you can change these for. With sugar, I can tell you, you could change it with real maple syrup, not Mrs. Butterworth, not log cabin. Go to the health food store. Those things are nothing but sugar. The white flour, I know you ladies bake some wonderful cakes. Use whole wheat pastry flour. You might want to use a little less. But I know, because that's what I use, it works really great. White rice, you can go to the brown rice. It has everything. The whole grain is there. And that's what you want, is the whole grain. They are training us to eat, parts of food and not the whole food. We got to start eating the whole food. Salt, if you're going to eat salt, use sea salt and limit the amount that you use. Sea salt is not as bad as the salt that you get, Morton salt. That comes from the earth. This other comes from the ocean, which is much better for your body. There's also something called Celtic salt, which I have not purchased because it's entirely too high, in my opinion. But I do use real salt, sea salt. Okay, on some things, not all things, I use more spices. And you ladies, I know all of you can cook, and therefore, you know how to use the spices. That can replace all that salt that we might put in our food. And the other thing that, we used a lot of when I was growing up, white potatoes, because that fills children up, especially when you got 6 of them. And you do much better using sweet potatoes or yams. Those are the better potatoes for us. That's something we've always done. I put sweet potatoes, when I make a stir fry, I put those in there. I don't put white potatoes in anything. Another thing, there are some handouts up here that I would like for you all to take one of each. And the first one is alkaline foods, and then there's foods to avoid. With the alkaline foods, our body is more alkaline than acid. The foods to avoid are more acid forming. You end up, an acid forming food, I'll give you an example, is like meat. That's why I'm saying eat less of it. You end up with a more acid pH balance of the body than you should have an alkaline pH balance of the body. Grains and most vegetables. Some of them are acid, but they turn to alkaline in the body. And you need to be midway on that range, because sometimes it's good to be a little bit more acid, but we're supposed to actually be more alkaline. The other thing I have up there for you are coronary diseases, and that's something that's important for us to take a look at. We're having more heart attacks, more strokes than anybody. When we end up with that high blood pressure, you end up possibly with a kidney disease or renal failure, other kinds of failure, things that bring on cancer. And they have herbs on here, but I want to tell you something about this. Do not change, if you're on blood pressure medication or anything else, without consulting your doctor. Blood pressure is absolutely nothing to play with, and you do not know if these herbs would work for you. And if you're on blood pressure medication, there's a way to move you down. But you need to be with a medical doctor and a holistic healthcare practitioner to do that. Whatever you do, do not change your medication for herbs until you consulted a professional. And I'd like for you to read this. It's been put together by Dr. Laila Africa, and he is an excellent naturopathic physician. I've followed some of his practice, and it is absolutely great. He was here at Brown Hutcherson Church, and a lot of the ministers got together to have him here, and the pastor at this church, Reverend Charlie Jones, also is involved in that, and he's absolutely great. Another thing that I put out for you all is about Reverend Dr. Alvinia Fulton. And this is a lady that saved my life. She was a naturopathic doctor. And I have sickle cell SC, and they had told my husband I wouldn't be here past 30. Well, I'm 60. And I praise the Creator every day. Okay? ever introduced me to her, she changed my whole diet. And she took it step by step. You don't have to eliminate everything all at once. It's a gradual process. And, I got off the beef and the pork and all that. And I did still eat chicken and fish. And it's been a process for me to get off of it. I finally, in the last 3 years, stopped eating fish. So I don't eat any meat or any kind of animal product. This sister died when she was 103. Just think about that. And she was not sick or ill. She was sick in the beginning just like I was. And I don't know, that's why I kind of look at her as my hero and why I have to follow this path. Because afterwards, she ended up writing books to help our people. She had a health food store right there on the west side of Chicago. Of course, the doors were locked, but this lady helped people heal themselves. And that's one thing I want you to recognize. Your doctor can't heal you. I can't. If you came to see me, you're the only one who can heal you, and that's by following what you're supposed to follow. If you're taking medication, one good thing about eating, it helps it to work better if you're eating properly. And we all need to change our diet so that we can really be healthy. I also have some articles right here from the Grand Rapids Press that I cut out because they had this information right before our eyes about what's happening. And it's on both sides of the mat. So you can just flip them over and see what is really good. And don't believe what McDonald's and all of them are saying about lowering stuff. They're not doing it. And then I found out something. There's another company to make your palate think that you're getting as much sugar as you were getting before. They've created a chemical and put it in some products. And I'm trying to, the name of the company starts with an S, and I'll get that back to Reverend because I can't think of the name of it, but it tricks your mind into thinking something was as sweet or as fatty as it was. One last thing, and I'm going to give it to Gwen. I'm not telling you not to eat any fat. Your brain needs fat to function. But what I'm telling you is eat good fats like olive oil, safflower oil. There's a whole list of them that you can eat. There's a soy margarine that's in the health food store. Get the organic. Go towards organic fruits and vegetables. And if they are too expensive in the health food store, the farmer's market is open. So you're going to automatically get a cheaper price for a good quality product. We're also going to be having the second workshop this month. And Mrs. Crawford, I'm going to have her tell you about that. And I'm going to turn the mic over to her. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. But I just want to see you change your diet so that you can be healthier and possibly extend your life. But that, like I said before, is between you and the Creator. But you want to feel good. Okay? Gwen Crawford. Yes. Oh, okay.
What about vegetables? In the fresh fruits and vegetables are plentiful in the summertime, but what about in the winter?
You know what? I use fresh vegetables all the time. I do not use canned vegetables. Please do not use those. If you just have to go and you can't get the fresh vegetables, get the frozen. They are better than canned vegetables. And processed. The other thing I didn't say, and I'm sorry, Gwen, the other thing I didn't say is we need to cut back on these processed foods, these packaged foods. Like those rice mixes, some of those, the candies and all that. That's all processed food. We want to cut back on processed food. There are some other ones. And Mrs. Crawford, you want to go over those with them? Those box foods that taste so good. They put all kinds of stuff in there, and we just don't know it. If in reading a label and reading ingredients on a package, if you don't know what it is, don't buy it. And under a lot of things, MSG is one of the biggest problems in this country, they say. MSG comes under a lot of other names on those packages, like hydrolyzed protein and all those kinds of things. So please read the ingredients. Don't buy that box just because it's on the shelf. Okay? Now I'll give it up to you.
Thank you, Shahida. For those of you that have not met me, my name is Gwen Crawford, and I'm the author of the Crossover Diet Cookbook. This is the Crossover Diet Cookbook. I've been in health for a number of years, and this is the second cookbook that I have written. The first cookbook was dealing with reducing your cholesterol that you take in and lowering your fats. Why did I write this cookbook? Because of a personal need. As Shahida said earlier, we don't know when our life expectancy is going to end. We don't know that. That's up to the Creator. However, the quality of our life is very important, and He gives us choices. And we have to make choices that will enhance our life and not take us down a road where we have a life of pain and suffering, and we can't hardly get up out of the chair, and all the things that go along with really eating a very poor diet. I had high cholesterol and high blood pressure, and that's why I started to write the first cookbook, because I said, I've got to do something. You know, I was a very rich cook. I like to cook with, a lot of butter and creams and all of the other things that we have learned, and we've learned over the years and from our foreparents. But that was causing me a problem. And so I started to experiment with them, took the recipes, and change the way I was eating. It has helped. I won't sit here and tell you, I won't stand here, and tell you today that I still don't have to do something about my blood pressure or cholesterol, but I'm better and I feel great. And at my age today, I don't have to worry about getting around. You want to know how old I am? Well, I'm over 60, so that's it. So, in the crossover diet, and I want everybody to have a sheet that tells you how to get started on the crossover diet. Well, as Shahida mentioned earlier as well, we talk about the 5 whites that we want to stay away from. We want to stay away from white sugar. White sugar destroys our bodies. I mean, it's a real enemy for you. So get away from the white sugar. Now, there are other alternatives to that. We're going to be putting on a workshop at Weggy Center the 26th of this month. And we're going to really get into detail where we don't have the time to do it for this workshop, but we're going to get into detail to tell you what you should be eating, what not to eat, alternatives to the things that are bad for you. We're going to give you samples from a lot of free samples. We give you a complete lunch, and it's going to be a real eye-opening experience. And that's going to be on July 26th. If you would like to sign up for that today, please do so. We would like to see you there. But there are things that you can do, and I'm going to give you this handout to get started on the crossover diet. And the crossover diet is crossing over gradually to a healthier diet. But it does not contain foods that are detrimental to your health, even though you're gradually crossing over. Because we're not using any white sugar. Did you enjoy the food today?
Oh, yeah.
There was saturated fat in the food you ate today. Because saturated fats, as you saw in the film, are the things that clog your arteries and cause, you know, to have high cholesterol and cause you to have strokes and heart attacks. So there are other things that you can use. And did you enjoy the chili?
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to let you know that that chili that you had today was vegetarian chili. Did you know that? It was vegetarian chili. So your food can be, you can have good tasting food, because a lot of times people will say, okay, get on a healthier diet. But then you will want you to eat, you know, foods that are not pleasing, or that you're not going to stay on for any length of time. So in the crossover diet, you will be eating foods that you will cross over to a healthier diet, but you will be crossing over and eating foods that taste good as well. So right now, I'm going to give you something to pass out. Please think about signing up for the workshop that we have on the 26th. And I'm not going to keep you any longer today because it's almost 1 o'clock. Excuse me.
In the book, what does it just tell you about?
Okay, excuse me.
You're speaking of the white shirt. What about the speaker, the sweet noise?
Okay. Do not, under any circumstances, use those sweeteners. Those are deadly. You know, I had an experience, and I'll share this with you real quick. I was working in the hospital, and a radiologist came in, and he was talking to us, and we were talking. And he said, you know what? He said, that NutraSweet, he said, that stuff, he said, that's going to kill your brain. He said, it really just fries your brain and causes you all kinds of health problems. And there are so many different things that we can, sweeteners that we can use without using those things that are so harmful to our body.
I had to come back up on that one, because that's one of my big pet peeves. At the HMO I used to work for, my supervisor gave me an article, and it was about this 30-year-old woman that had been taken to a nursing home because of using some kind of artificial sweetener. This woman had gotten Alzheimer's, and they were trying to figure out what was going on. Well, somehow someone failed to give her the NutraSweet or whatever it was for a long time. And the woman came back. That stuff is the worst. Don't get Splenda. Anything that they have messed up, Splenda's horrible for you. Saccharin, Sweet and Low, all of those. NutraSweet. Any of them. If you can, and if you're diabetic, I can suggest one thing to you without a problem, and it's called stevia. Change that from that if you're on that other. My cousin, who's also into natural health, she went to New Orleans, and I had been on my cousin to get off this NutraSweet, and he wouldn't do it. She went down there and took him some stevia and took his stuff, and his wife dared him to get it again because she's an RN. And he liked it. The stevia was good. So I just had to get up and I apologize for him, but that is one of my pet peeves.
Where can you get the stevia?
Huh?
Where can you get it?
You can get it at Harvest Health Food Store or any of the health food stores around here. Or
Myers too.
okay, Myers has it, and then there's this health food store that's new. They provided the juice for you all, and that's why I put those on the table. And they're right there on Fulton on your diet.
Okay, if you don't have a cookbook, you can get how to get started on the crossover diet, because in the cookbook it tells you alternative sweeteners so that you can get away from the white sugar, but it'll tell you what you can use that is good, that's good tasting, and that is much better for you. So that is very important. Like I said, when we do the workshop at Weggy Center, we're going to tell you some things, really, and take you from the beginning and let you know what to buy and what not to buy and why you do this and why not. Give you lots of free samples on things that are good for you and good tasting as well. So please be sure and pick up one of the sheets here on how to get started on the crossover diet. Number one, I'm going to read these real quick for you. Number one, it says, eliminate when possible or greatly reduce the 5 whites from your diet. White flour. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Dr. Laila Africa, but he's a naturopathic doctor, and he is just great. He has a lot of DVDs and CDs out that help you with all of your major illnesses. And you know, as African American people, we are dying 3 times faster than any other race. And I just heard this past week, speaking of diabetes, that there's 300,000 new cases within the last 3 years. Now, does that tell you something? Do we need to make some changes? Yeah. So, if you follow that and you get away from the white sugar and the white salt, now the sea salt in place of the white salt. But it'll tell you all of that on the sheet here. We'll give you some suggestions and more in the book itself. And then reduce your amount of meat that you eat, you know, from the film. We're not saying give it up. If you can move away from beef, you'll be much better off. But, excuse me, yes, did you
On
want
your list, you have cow's milk is not recommended.
Right.
What about the lactate?
Okay, if you,
Without the milks, right?
okay, with the vegetable milks, and that's what we recommend, and that's what Dr. Laila Africa recommends, that you use vegetable milks. There are several of them that you can use, and you don't have to worry about it if you're lactose intolerant. I'm lactose intolerant, and I use the vegetable milks, and that works great for me. And then there's substitutes for everything. There's substitutes for anything that you can eat right now. There's a substitute for it, and there's something that tastes good as well.
So does lactose work, or should it not be lactose-free milk? Okay.
Yes.
That's a good one?
You mean the lactose-free milk?
Yes.
Or are you talking about the vegetable milks?
Milk.
We don't recommend the milk. We recommend that you use the vegetable milks. And we'll get into, you know, more of that in detail when we go to the other workshop, but we can talk more about it. And there's reasons for everything that we're suggesting to you. And let me go over finish these steps really quick here. When possible, if you eat organic. Now, organic sometimes is more expensive, and if you can't eat organic, there are vegetable washes that you can use to get the chemicals off, because the chemicals are causing us a problem too. They're really causing us some problems. And so when you can eat void of those synthetic chemicals, you are also, helping to make that transition to becoming healthier. And there's, they have them in Myers right now is fantastic. I'll tell you how the everything is moving, because they have a lot of the organic products. They have a lot of the products that we have that are healthier for you. You know, they have the tofus, they have all of those kinds of things they have at Myers. And then the other thing, you know, reducing stress and all of those things are important as well. But I'm not going to go any further in detail. I'm going to let you read that yourself. And we have the book here, and we will have the workshop at Weggy Center. Please sign up for that. And if you have any questions right now, excuse me.
They might be able to know what the vegetable milks are. Sorry.
Okay, it tells you what the vegetable milks are, but there's soy milk, there's rice milk, there's almond milk. There's a number of them that you can use. There's oat milk. And really, they taste great. And they work great in the recipes.
I think they have to call them beverage, even though it's milk. It might be the milk industry, because I seldom see milk on the label of those products. We do rice drink, they call it, but it's rice milk.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't mention that you got recipes in there.
Did I forget
That's
that?
the key part of the book.
Every recipe that you, everything that you had to eat today is in the cookbook. Those recipes are in. We have over 70 recipes in the cookbook that you can enjoy. And eating, part of eating is enjoying your food. And that's what it's all about. I can't wait till I talk to Dr. Oz. He's on the Oprah Show, and many of you that watch the Oprah Show are familiar with Dr. Oz.
Yeah.
I think he's wonderful. But if you go and take everything out of someone's cabinet and you expect them to eat just the stir fry and don't have anything else, you're not going to keep those people very long. You got to cross over, and you got to do that gradually. Think of it as a scale in a doctor's office. One side is the perfect diet. The other side is a very poor diet, and at least comes somewhere in the middle. That's what we'd like for you to do. So, with that saying, unless you have anything else to say, we would like to wind this up. Did you have anything you want to say? Okay. Any questions that you have for us at this time? If not, this will conclude our introductory workshop. And again, we thank Reverend Jones. I think he is just such a special person, I really do. When we approached him and we told him that we would like to come in and do a workshop for his members, he said, you know, that's what it's all about, health ministry. He wanted to do whatever would help the people in his church, his members. And I think that's just absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Gwen.
Thank someone that really worked with Mr. Sharon.
Oh, yeah, I mentioned Sharon earlier today, and I just think Sharon
I know you did.
she's
but I
just
brought it
great.
in.
Yeah, we'll tell her thank you again as well. She's done a fantastic job. And without her, we would be nowhere, Sharon, without you, I'll tell you that. Okay, so thank you so much, and please come up to the table and, what? Butternut. Yeah, that's, oh, let me tell you what you ate, ever since everybody been asking. Okay, you had vegetarian chili, you had butternut squash, and you had turkey meatballs with mushroom gravy. And brown rice. Did you like the rice?
Yeah.
That was brown rice. You know, rice doesn't have to be all stiff, it's the way in which you cook it. And on the 26th, we're going to actually prepare meals for you and show you just how to cook everything, or a lot of things. All right, well, thank you so much. It's been my pleasure to be here. Excuse me. Yes. The workshop on the 26th is $55, and that includes your lunch, and like I said, we have a lot of really good things for you. 3 things for you. Yes.
At the workshop, will you be showing us how to eat fried chicken without frying it?
You know, I am so glad, Sharon, that you said that. Do you know I can prepare chicken for you, and you can't tell me whether it was fried or not?
Yeah.
And I'll show you how to do it. Thank you so much.
You got the best chicken in the world. I proof of it.
Okay, and the cookbook is $19.95. Someone was asking about that. Okay? Yeah, $20, no tax.